Hey, what's up, geeks? It's Halloween and I have no life, so I figured I'd spend it with you. This whole entire week, I've been doing interviews. I had a few coding challenges, and just yesterday, I had a React Native coding challenge, a 2-hour coding challenge. And honestly, I only needed an hour, so thanks for doing these videos so much. It was really easy. And I actually, during the interview, there was an issue with me. Um, they were using some kind of some system that wouldn't load the code. So I was able to actually build the entire application without even seeing the simulator. I just want to brag about my skills. Anyways, here, one of the things that they tested me on was the control of state. Now, when you're using the class function, we know how state's controlled there. That's the way it's been done traditionally for a while. A lot of these companies want to know how familiar you are with hooks. So the coding challenge, basically, I had to pull from an API, show a list of items, and then when somebody clicks on a specific item, show that data on that screen. The only thing that could have been complex is that on the other screen, you weren't bringing in the parameters from the previous screen. You were actually, based off what was selected, it will make another API call and then filter in the data on that screen. But anyways, I want to give you guys a good feel for how you would use hooks within your application. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So the two main hooks that you need to know, honestly, is just it's going to be use effect and use state. So make sure I bring those in. I'll cover some more of these hooks in a later video, but these are the main ones that you really need to state. And I've used these in earlier videos, but I never really had the video focus solely on hooks. So yeah, let's just do that for this video. Now, first I'm just going to decorate the screen a little bit because we need to have something for you guys to see. So, const styles equals style sheet dot create container. This is going to be flex 1. I'm going to say padding left is going to be 20. Now I got to make it look pretty. Padding right is going to be 20 as well. And padding top, make this, I just make it 20. I'll make everything. I'll go ahead and just put all padding at 20. All right. So let me add our container. Add our style prop, reference our styles. Container. All right, and then just to make sure that's working, I'm going to grab my GeekMODE blue. Put that in here. We may need it again. Background color. Okay, cool. So at least it's looking the way we need it to look. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to actually add a button here. So let me go to YouTube real fast for you guys. YouTube, and let me see who they have me on here. I want to watch somebody crazy. Okay, I'll check out this guy because I was checking him out. Now, you know how Instagram, it has this subscribe button, right? So it's a different color. Let me unsubscribe. See, it's red now. Once I subscribe, it turns gray. We're going to do something like that. I'm going to show you how to control that with using use state. Now, let's say align items. Make the center. Justify content. Make this center as well. All right, cool. Bring in touchable opacity. All right, so let me see touchable opacity. All right, so touchable opacity, I'm gonna go ahead and just make this a button. So let's say button The width is going to be 100%. Height is going to be, let's say it's about 150. Align items. Let me just save some time. Cool. All right. Button text. Make this font size 20, and font weight will be bold, and color will be white. I believe that's what Instagram's, all over the place. That's what YouTube button color was. So let's reference that style. Got styles, got button. Save that. It's not giving me any kind of love, huh? So bring in my text. Subscribe. Did that give us anything? Must be doing something wrong. Touchable opacity. Touchable opacity. Button width, the height. Background. Whoops. All right, let's go 100. Just ugly. All right, cool. Border radius. It's 15. Okay, cool. So button text. Okay, cool. And I hope you guys are subscribed to this channel, man. Show me some love. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, we have our button. Now we click our button, it doesn't do jack squat. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just add use state, right? So we're gonna say subscribe. Subscribe. The function is gonna be set subscribe. And its default state is going to be false. So those of you who are new to hooks, this is basically what's going on. So right now, imagine this is just subscribers are variable. We're setting our initial variable's value to false right here. That's what we're doing with use state. All right, so that's all you need to know right now. This is like our variable, and this is the value of our variable currently. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, we're going to create some logic. So I'm going to say button color, and we're going to set this equal to subscribe. So by default, this right here is equivalent to true. All right. So instead of just saying equal to true, we're just going to say this is the same as true. So if subscribe is true, which is not, we're going to say the color, background color, is gray. All right. And if it's not, if subscribe is false, which it is right now, we're going to say the background color is red. All right, so cut that out. Okay, now I'm going to add our styles, add an array so we can add multiple styles, and then just reference our button color. See, it's still red. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add some styling for our button text. Button text. I'm giving y'all game right now. If you're watching this, it's a good chance you are a beginner. So I'm going to go ahead, reference subscribe again, and if subscribe is true, we're going to make this color black. All right, I'm not sure if that's what YouTube does. We're going to make it black, and this is going to be white. All right, so our button text, we're going to remove color, which is black right now. Now if I add that array, I reference our button text. What did I do? Oh, hold on, button text, and instead say color. That was my fault. Color. Cool. Now we click this button, it doesn't change, right? That's what we expect to happen. We haven't set any kind of functionality for that to update the state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the onPress prop, and I'm going to reference our function, our setScribe function. setSubscribe function. So set subscribe, and I'm going to say whatever value subscribe is, we're going to flip it. So basically, when we click this button, whatever value that subscribe is, we're going to get the opposite of that. So once I press it, it's going to change to true. See that? And now if I press it again, it's going to go back to false. All right, so this is use state. Use state. It basically allows us to change the state of our current data on the screen. This would be helpful, say like you were to you were creating some kind of, your website has some kind of like email newsletter. You wanted to make sure you grab and see if that person actually was added to your newsletter. You will get the value of when they press it to say yes, they want to be a part of your newsletter, and then that data will be sent to their API. Now what I'm going to do is cover how useEffect is being used. I'm going to have to Google like a sample API. So this might take some time. I may have to freeze the video or whatever, but yeah, I'll be there. Okay, geeks, so I found this website that has dummy data, and we're going to use this endpoint. And basically this endpoint gives us a list of employees. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to, instead of saying line item center for our application, let me see if I remove this, or should I do justified content? Ooh. Subscribe. Okay, so container, it's doing the wrong thing. All right, we're gonna add margin bottom. Okay, cool, let's move 20. Now, usually I would just use flat list for this, but because we're just trying to, this is all for example purposes, I'm going to create a function called get employees data. All right, and this is going to be at an arrow function. I'm going to bring in Axios. Now I paused the video and I imported Axios into our project, but this is, I just want you guys to watch this right now. So right now we're going to say async, and then we're going to await. And we're going to call Axios. Axios is how we make all of our API calls. So I'm going to say axios.get then I'm going to get the response, say res, and then I'm going to set, we're going to create another use state. So we're going to say employees, well, let's say set employees. All right, So we're expecting an array of data. If we take a look at the API response, it's like a collection. You see it's an array. So our default state should be an empty array. Now I'm going to just go ahead and I'll bring in one thing for our default state, just so we have some kind of data. All right, and then we're going to say, add some logic, say employees. If there is anything, we're going to map it out. If employees dot length is greater than 0, then we're going to follow through with this. We're going to say employees. Employees.map. Employee, I'll just leave that for short. I'll also bring in the index. I'm just going to create a simple view. That would return. Add a view. And this view is going to be like our card. So I'll go ahead and just make it the same as our button to save time. I'll say imp container, and its background color is going to be white. Get some kind of contrast. All right, so we're going to add our styles dot imp container. And then we're going to set text. Set text. It's going to be the same as here, our button. Text. So I'll say style dot button text right here. Grab this. Add our style. Add that in there. I want to grab my employees. I want to grab their employee name. So I'll say text is going to equal imp dot employee name. All right. Cool. Now, for whatever reason, okay, I see what I did. I messed that up. All this logic is in my button. So the admin load my button. Okay, cool. And I thought that I had my subscribe button. It was supposed to be margin bottom of 20. My bad. So yeah, we have this guy, Tiger Nixon. It's a horrible name. So yeah, we have Tiger Nixon, right? So what we want to do, we want to grab our get our employee data. In order to do that, we have to reference our URL. So I'm gonna go ahead and just grab our endpoint, our URL endpoint. Now this is going to pass back all of this data, right? So we pass in this data, and I'm going to call in my function. So right now we're not using any use effect at all. We're just creating our function. So I'm going to use our set employees function. I'm going to set its value equal to res.data. All right. Now say if there's an error, I'll just error or console log it. Error.message. All right, cool. All right, so now we have to use this function. So I'm going to say use effect, and we usually use use effect whenever we're making any kind of API calls. Use effect is similar to how we use lifecycle methods for classes. All right, so when you're having when you're in an interview, they're going to want to see how you handle APIs, and just make sure that you really pay close attention to this piece. Now I'm going to call my get employees data function. All right. Now our data, we didn't get anything called back. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, So our data did update. So 1 second, I'm going to actually have to pause this and see what's going on. Okay, so here's the problem. We have to control how many times our screen actually renders, how many times it calls that data. And we're going to do that. I wasn't planning on using this hook, but there's another hook called use callback. And use callback, basically, it prevents re-renders of a specific function. So that's what was happening here. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut all of this out and then add use callback. And also there's another thing. We have to make sure we add our key, reference our index. Everything that's re-rendered needs to have its own index. So make sure we add that. And it's looking good. I may have to, let me see, get rid of this part. Well, let me see. I have our debugger on, so let me go ahead, check out the debugger. So we have the status code right here. So let me go ahead, refresh this. And as you can see, our response is actually bringing in data. It's just we're not referencing that data. For whatever reason, this API is data.data. So I'm going to have to say data. Okay. So it's data.data. Where's that data.data? And this is our array. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and just, and there we go. As you can see, we have everything coming back from our employee container. It looks pretty ugly, but that's all right. This is all just for showing you guys an example how to use this. Now, when you're working for a, when you have your interview, these are the 3 main callback functions that you want to use. It's going to be use state, use effect, and use callback. Make sure that you guys go over this tutorial, the short brief tutorial, study it, create your own applications, and yeah, go from there. If you have any questions, please let me know, because this is very important. I promise you, you won't get hired if you're not familiar with hooks and how they work. All right, like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Peace.